Visas approved.
No.
If you're an American looking to move to France, here's a list of documents that we brought with us in our visa application that got approved on the first try.
Hello, I'm Lauren,
And I'm Scott.
and today we're going to talk about all the documentation we brought to get our visas approved to go to France for at least a year, and it got approved in 5 days. Heard mixed things about if they were going to let us take a bag in, so Scott is just literally holding all of our essential paperwork and identification. Let's go! In this video, we're going to separate things into sections so you can understand where the documentation would fall in that section for the visa. We do go over some of the specifics for the visa that we applied for, but a lot of these are general and could be applied to any visa that you're looking to get. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about the things that have changed just in the short amount of time since we applied for our visas, so stick around for that.
For our first section, we're going to talk about necessary identification documents and copies and originals that you'll need to bring with you to your appointment. The first obviously being your passport. Your passport is going to be the most important part of this operation. You're going to need to bring that with you. Make sure that you have your original, because at the appointment, your original will be taken from you to hopefully issue you your visa. In addition to that, you're going to want to bring copies of every page of your passport. Why specifically that's needed in addition to your original, I'm not quite sure, but it was something that we brought and ended up being taken with our application. As a side note, you want to make sure that your passport is valid for as long as possible. Obviously, you don't want your passport to expire when you're in a different country, so make sure that you do that with plenty of notice before going into this entire process. The next set of identification documents you're going to want is your driver's license or your real ID. I personally got my driver's license renewed just before we left from the US to France.
I didn't, and I also didn't get a real ID.
So if your ID isn't going to expire, obviously that's not an issue, but in the event that it is coming close to that expiration date while you're staying abroad, make sure that you update that as well. The reason that I wanted to update my driver's license was because I wanted to exchange it here in France so that I could be able to drive without having to go through schooling and also to save a little bit of money. Luckily, Pennsylvania has reciprocity with the country of France, so I could just turn it over. I have not done that yet. We still have to go through the process of that, but the ability is there to make sure that if I need to drive the car, I have the license already.
Part of the reason I wanted to move to this specific area of France was because of the access to public transportation. I have a driver's license. I had a driver's license in the state of California, and I had one in the state of Pennsylvania, and I've used them a grand total of 3 to 5 times in over a decade, and I have no intention on driving here in France. So I did not bother updating my driver's license. I don't think it's going to expire for the duration of our visa, but it just didn't seem worth going through more of a paperwork thing. And I also didn't get a real ID, but I already had a valid passport that would be valid for an extensive amount of time, so I didn't bother doing that either.
The next primary identification document that we brought with us was our birth certificates, again, both original and copies. Finally, we brought copies or the original of our Social Security cards, and although we brought those, I don't remember them actually needing it, but we brought it just in case because we wanted to be overprepared. And just to add one final note to that, once you're in the other country, your passport is likely going to become your primary source of identification. So although having these extra things is useful, making sure that you have your passport is the most important thing. In addition to primary identification documents, you may also want to bring with you some secondary identification documents. And by that I mean marriage certificates, birth certificates for other family members, possibly death certificates depending on your situation, as well as any name changes in the event that they don't match up with your current ID.
The next section is going to be general visa stuff. This could be applied to anyone who's getting a visa for France, not just the specific visa that we chose to get. But your visa application, you actually do have to fill out an application on the visa website that is its own application. So you're going to need to bring that printed out. You are going to need to bring proof of your appointment printed out. We're going to talk about this a little bit at the end, but the appointment and where you make your appointment has shifted since we did this application process, but I would assume that you still need to bring proof of an appointment for your visa application. And all visa applicants, no matter what type of visa you are applying for, need to bring a letter of intent. Why do you want to go? Why do you want to go to France? Why are you a good candidate? Why should you be issued a visa? The letter of intent, the visa application, and most likely the visa appointment time for your visa application. Next part of the visa doc application process, all of that is going to be your financials. And this is going to be different depending on who is applying and what you're applying for. So we can share what we brought, but it might not apply to your situation. So we brought our previous 2 years worth of tax return, copies of that, so that we could show what we've been paying taxes on, what we've been making, all of that information that goes into your taxes, which is a lot. And then we also brought the previous 3 months, 90 days worth of bank statements. In our case, from both business bank statements and personal bank statements, but again, that might not apply to you. For some folks who are coming over either on a visitor, which could apply to retirement, or just a casual visitor visa, you can maybe provide your savings and bank statements. If you're living off of any 401k or investments, you can provide that information, and you will need to. Maybe you were living off of Social Security. Any of those things that apply to your situation financially, you are going to bring proof of. They do not want you coming to this country and becoming destitute. So you want to show them how you are going to survive for the year in France that you are applying for the visa for. For our next section, we're going to talk about transportation and living documents that we had to provide for our visa. First one would be a flight. We brought proof that we were going to have a flight on the specific day that we were applying for our visas to become valid for. Along with the flight is accommodations. We also brought proof of 3 months, 2 months of accommodations?
3 months.
3 months of accommodations. We didn't end up using that because we got our apartment right away, which we have talked about, but it's just good for them to see that you're going to have someplace to land when you get here, so you're not stranded and just out looking for housing when you arrive. The accommodations can be everything from a hotel, family members, or a sponsor of some kind, or like us, an Airbnb. The next really big one is health insurance coverage for your time abroad. This is actually a big one because we saw this going wrong while we were getting our visa, or while we were applying for our visa, so we should throw this out there in a little bit of detail. I think a lot of people think when you come someplace that has health insurance, universal health care, that you're automatically going to be on that. While we could still benefit from that, we are not actually in that system yet, even if we have a visa. So bringing proof of health insurance, some kind of travel, some folks I think even qualify with what's called nomad insurance, some kind of proof that you have coverage for health insurance for the year that you will be abroad is required. Do not forget it. We did see people crashing out at the visa appointment because they did not bring certain documents, and we've seen people online who have said that they also have not purchased these documents. They need to be done ahead of time, and they need to be presented with your dossier at the visa appointment.
Bouncing off of what Lauren was talking about with regards to the health insurance, it ended up coming in the morning that we drove to our appointment. So luckily things worked out, but if we didn't have that, our entire appointment would have had to have been moved or shifted.
And then the additional part for the visa application for us, based on the specific visa that we applied for, Profession Liberale, was our business plan, our EIN or registered businesses for the United States. We had been operating businesses in the United States, client referrals, testimonials from clients that you've worked with in the past if you've been running a business, testimonials or client interests from folks who you may want to work with in France, and a resume or a CV. I submitted that. We both submitted our resume. I don't know if they needed it, but we included it. Giving you a general of business plan, this was a pretty hefty part of the dossier that we submitted. It was the part that took the absolute longest of everything that we did. It took so long, and there were so many different sections, and ours were not matching. They were not the same because we're running two different businesses and we have two different business plans. Honestly, there's just so much in the business plan. If you want more information on what we included in our business plan for our visa application or any of that, you should definitely follow us and leave us a comment. Let us know that you are looking at this and you are needing more information, because otherwise, literally, we do not have time in this video to go over everything that we included in that.
As far as additional documents goes, can't quite remember if it was required specifically for our business related visa or for visas in general, but we also got FBI criminal checks and state criminal checks and submitted those with our application.
The last document that we brought was a Guarant Me, and a Guarant Me is what people like us who have no proof of income in France, no one to sign for us to say that we are reliable people. A Guarant Me helps you get an apartment. or living accommodations. We got approved for our Guarant Me before we went to our visa appointment to show that we would be good candidates for renting a longer term apartment in France. The reason we wanted to show that was because we thought it would make us look like better candidates when we could prove that we had enough money to back us and pay for our housing and our ability to stay in France for a year. I don't think it is a requirement, and I think it's something that you could probably do once your visa is approved for France, but I do think it's worth doing ahead of time because then you have it and you can go in and make any changes once you get here.
Obviously, depending on your personal situation, the documents required for your visa application may be different from ours, but we found this to be a pretty general, broad version of what to expect and is what we supplied for our application.
A couple of notes to finish up this video. Things have changed since we applied for our visa, and we only applied in February of this year, so it really has not been that long. The first thing that changed pretty much right after we submitted our application. I literally think it changed in March, right?
Before we left, yeah.
We applied at VFS, which was the organization that was handling the visa applications and submitting them to the French embassy in the United States on behalf of the people applying. VFS is no more. They are no longer the body that is handling the visa applications. We are now back to TLS in the United States. I think it's gone back and forth, and I think TLS was representing other countries, but not the United States, and I think now they must have won a contract or something. Another thing that shifted in June, which is not long after we arrived here, was that if you are applying for the same visa that we did, which is the Profession Libérale visa to work here, you have to submit that to ANEF to get your business validated.
So again, these are the documents that we provided for our visa application. Obviously, all situations are going to be slightly different. We probably came a little over-prepared as we came back home with some of these documents that we've talked about, but we thought it'd be good to share with you in the event that you yourself are also considering this too. If you have any additional questions regarding this process or anything that we've talked about in this video, feel free to leave a comment below and we will try to answer it in an upcoming video.
We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you learned something from it, and if you did, let us know in the comments. If you've recently gone through this process and used any other documentation, we would love to hear about it. Please, again, leave us a comment because other people will benefit from this. And if you like hanging out with us, you like our videos, subscribe, like, share this with someone who may be doing this process as well, and let us know what you want to hear in the future. Thanks so much for joining us. See ya.
Visa's approved.
No.
The visa's approved. You said don't say that, and then I said,
They knew we were born. Profession libérale.
so that way France knew that we were born.
The Profession libérale, liberal. I can't say it like that. Next section is going to be general visa stuff.
That I made sure to do before getting our visas.
While we were, and my face is definitely fucking psycho.
All right, let me do it again. Oh, I'm having trouble with that.
That sounded too close to suction.
That's just what the title is?
Yeah.
Okay.